Welcome to Infinite Fantasy, where apparently first person to make a video online is his name's drawn out of a hat. Apparently my name was the only one in the hat. Alright, so today let me check the script here. We will be we'll be looking at Romeo and Juliet. I need this on standby. Alright. Romeo and Juliet. What a masterpiece that is called. Two star-crossed lovers in fair Verona take their life because of their parents' hate for each other and their love for each other. When murdering and deceiving each other becomes too much for each other, well, they turn to a priest, get married, and then after Romeo kills one of Juliet's families, the Capulets, they basically take each other's life. Romeo takes a poison, Juliet takes a, no, there's no other way to say it, a dagger to each other, and they die, and then the families end their feud. That's a pretty straightforward plot, but what I've always noticed is that most people are introduced to it by school, or by the media, or by school, or by school. And how I was introduced to it anyways, I was like 6, 7-ish. My memory's a little jogged. I was introduced to it again by, I don't even want to call it the Romeo and Juliet, William Shakespeare's Romeo plus Juliet in 1996 with Leonardo DiCaprio and John Liz, I can't pronounce his name. I loved it. For years, I watched it, and then around 2010, I kind of stopped watching it. Then I came back to it as a 9th grader, and I realized I hated it. I mean, I don't know if it was the hokey acting, the dumb storytelling, the way that everything was put, and I get it, everybody has their own, like, idea on how this movie is, or how the play went. It's just like watching another Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie, or show, or comic. Never mind. Everyone has their own interpretation of a movie, story, comic book, whatever. Everybody has their own interpretation of a story. And I get it, some people have some really bad ones, like Michael Bay, and some people have some really good ones, like Orson Welles and Stanley Kubrick, and all the actual good people who know how to do stuff that are not Michael Bay or Shyamalan. So, in this story written by William Shakespeare, again, it's... I looked at the movie, and I watched the movie by myself a few times, a few too many, and I realized something. Maybe it's not the movie I hated. Maybe it's the story. Yeah, I mean, think about it. How much has this story really been used? How many cliches came straight out of this story? How many different rehashes have you seen of this exact same story? How many times has there been a Montague and a Capulet type brawl? I mean, how many times have you seen it in movies and media? And are we overusing it? And does that make it any less of a masterpiece? I see stories all the time, you know, two lovers, it was never meant to be, so they either end their lives or they end something. Kind of seems overrated to me now. And I mean, if we think about it, there's a lot of stuff. I mean, the whole thing is a bloodbath, and somebody's dying almost every second, and just like the movie, something's dying, something's exploding, something's shouting in your face. Well, even in the play, somebody's always dying, somebody's always screaming, or something's almost always happening, which again is not a bad thing. But does everything that happens in it, because of how many times it's been used, is it using it up? Is basically what I'm asking. You know, the fighting is it's kind of constant, and it's kind of odd. And if you think about it, there have been multiple reuses of this, play. But each one kind of tells the exact same story, and each one is getting more and each one that comes out makes the story more and more repetitive. Is that such a good thing? I mean, think about all the horrible, bad movies that have been shown because of repetition. And I get it, there are like 6 or 7 main stories that we just keep retelling and retelling and retelling. But no. I mean, everything's got its original spin on it. Some aren't going as original. I mean, think about Michael Bay. I mean, he creates the Transformers movie. It was nice. It was kind of original, kind of. And then he makes Transformers 2, and he did the exact same thing and made, and he did Transformers 3, and it was the exact same thing. Transformers 4, exact same thing. It's just basically no real difference in his story, and kind of like this. I mean, even if you don't call it William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet, it's still the exact same story. It's still the exact same story. I mean, think about what's the one that my English teacher wanted us to do for extra credit? West Side Story or whatever it's called. I think it's called West Side Story. It's the exact same thing. I mean, it's just lovers who are from 2 different groups, Montagues, Capulets, bikers, and surfers, that want to do their own, that want to either, I don't know, see the other one wiped out or off the planet or something. It's just like, and it's cliched. It's got the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet it's been used for so many things, and it was just like, I mean, come on. It's just, Romeo, where art thou? I mean, how many people can exactly say that they've heard that at least somewhere other than the play? They've heard something or a rehash of something, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful writing. I'm not kidding. I love this writing. For the past 2 weeks, I've been speaking to my friends in this way. So I'm not hating on the writing. I'm not hating on how many people are actually, doing stuff like this. But is it safe to say that it might be overused? Again, like West Side Story, whatever it's called, is one of them. It's overused. It is, and it's kind of cliched. I mean, think about some of the romantic cliches that come out of this. I mean, or some of the anger cliches. I mean, I'm not. I know that this wasn't the first to use it, but I'm pretty sure because it is the most popular. The 3-way love triangle, where the guy loves a girl, but the girl loves another guy, and that guy loves the other girl. Come on, that's. I don't know if it was overused in his time or if it was new, but it's really and if you think about it. Because these works were so popular and so good, everything started being remade about it. I mean, think about it. Everything that's been done in this play now has been done a million times before. And I know that the original story had hokey acting too, because it was a play. You had to be very expressive, like I'm being right now, and very quickly written, so you can make great things happen really quickly. But I just don't see this happening, and I just don't understand how we can keep retelling the same story over and over again, and sometimes Romeo plus Juliet, without even changing a thing, without even changing. And you took 2 things. I mean, I'm just gonna compare the movie to Romeo and to the play. And I mean, come on. Now the play was very dignified. I mean, it had its flaws. I'm sure it did have its flaws, but it was very dignified. To be honest, I mean, it had a legit love feeling to it, whereas the movie was kind of they kind of looked like they were trying to force the love part in for the last second because they were blowing too many things up, and. There's scenes that I liked how, but I liked how Mercutio decided to fight Tybalt because Tybalt was beating up Romeo in the movie. But I don't like how in the movie, they were beating, I don't like stuff that came from either, really. Because, again, it's been overused, it's been over-cliched. But that's my question that I have in the title. Does that make it any less of a masterpiece? Is because it's overused make it bad? Not necessarily. Yeah, you can overuse these cliches all you want. You can overdo whatever you want. You can overmake anything that you really want out of it. But that doesn't make it any less of a story. It's still a beautiful story. And I'm still gonna love the movie. I mean, it's my favorite. I'm gonna be honest. It's like my second favorite movie of all time. And it's still beautiful. I mean, I can read it and read it and read it over and over again forever. But that doesn't make up for the fact that Hollywood is really out of ideas, and so are some other people. I think that basically, yes, it is overused, but I don't think that makes it any less of a working piece of art. We can rewrite the story of Hamlet a million times in our own view, but that still makes the story of Hamlet, it's still beautiful. There's nothing wrong with the actual story itself. So, final thoughts. It's overused. Hollywood overuses it. We overuse it. Television overuses it. It's overused. But in the end, it's still beautiful writing. And I'm gonna say thank you to off the top of my head, West Side Story for being so close to it, because but still making it your own. For Romeo plus Juliet, for being so better, and I really appreciate it. It's still a beautiful story, and yeah, it's overused, but hey, there's other stuff that's overused. There's other stuff. Alright. Well, that was our first video of Infinite Fantasy. Of course, like I said, my name was pulled out of a hat. If you like this, subscribe, and I'm Eric Alnam with reviews from Normal Men. And comment, do whatever you do online now because I'm behind. And thank you for watching.